Hey everyone, it's me, EH-Sora here, and this is the part 2 to the short update I uploaded. And this video is just called The Mess, and we'll have the heavier parts that I talked about in the update. And I will basically talk about what have happened since the end of 2019 to 2023. So this video will be a way for me to vent and get it out of my system, and I apologize for my voice. I have gotten some kind of cold, so yeah, this video will be somewhat long or very long, so get something to eat or drink. And as all you might know, that I moved over half across the country in the end of 2019 to where I live now. And on December 21st of 2019 was the last time I saw both of my best friends, and we basically went out and ate and talked shit for hours because I was moving. And sometime after Christmas of 2019, so did my family and I pack the cars to start the long drive half across Sweden, and we arrived safely where we live now, to apparently one of the coldest winters in like 30 years, at least what I was told. And it was kind of a shock to step out of the car to minus 25 from being used to walking around in mud. So yeah, that was something, at least. Sometime after the move, so did some kind of long-term stress just disappear, like I could relax from stress that I didn't know that I had from the start, and I started to sleep like a rock. The result of this, I started to sleep a lot and started to feel tired again because I slept too much again. We were getting used to live in the cold and starting to have a working day-to-day life. Then some time passed and we noticed that we had fiber internet but didn't get any internet. Apparently so did the fiber cables had been snapped somewhere in the wall, so they had to install new cables, and it was a bit of a pain to be without internet for a few months, to be honest. I was put in a group for unemployed people to more or less help me to boost the chances of me to get a job, and I applied for jobs without luck, and time went by. So getting closer to summer of 2020, so did I get an internship as a painter and carpenter for the city I live in, to do something else than just applying for jobs. And when my internship was getting close to, so where I informed that I was going to get employed there. And I remember that I was fixing a table when I got the news, and I was really happy. And around the same time, so did my mental health start getting worse. And yeah, and it went downhill for a bit, but I still enjoyed my work and still do. And around October and November of 2020, so did I move to my first own apartment in the center of the city where I live in. And I got help from a few co-workers with the move of my stuff from my parents' place to my apartment by using my job's van. I told my family I was going to be at my place and set up everything. It was a Wednesday, if I remember right, and I remember that my dad boiled some water for some noodles for me when my family was there, because they were going to deliver my sound system and desktop computer. My first ever dinner in my apartment apartment was those noodles, a few sandwiches and a glass of milk. And I remember I refilled my temporary internet solution and watched some YouTube on my phone at my desk, because I only had light over the stovetop, the kitchen sink, bathroom, hall and the hallway. So you can imagine how dark it was in my apartment in the middle of winter in northern Sweden. And I think that the same week on Friday, so did I buy a kebab pizza from the pizza place right across the street where I live, and watched Deadpool 2 on my 20-inch TV with built-in DVD, because I didn't get any TV signal because it was too windy outside. Yeah. And I think on that weekend my dad and I went shopping for kitchen stuff and IKEA stuff like lamps for the living room and kitchen. I was getting settled in my apartment by the day and started to have a working apartment by the day, and starting to have a working daily living in my apartment, and getting used to living alone, like getting used to the apartment door locking itself. And my temporary internet solution was a tiny Wi-Fi hotspot that wasn't bigger than a credit card, that had a prepaid SIM card with it. But I felt like, whatever, I'm going to get fiber internet soon anyways. And when time passed, when I was supposed to receive fiber internet, so does it get delayed? And when I asked my landlord, so did he say that the internet provider wasn't sure if it was worth installing fiber internet to 11 apartments. So I basically had to do the best of it for the time. And around this time, so did I get into a really unhealthy long distance relationship. And it's easy to say now, and wondering why I even fell for it in the first place. But I thought I was in a loving long distance relationship at the time. And I wish this never had happened, but what's done is done, and can only learn from my mistakes. The show must go on after all, even if it's hard. But I know now that everything was a lie from the start. But hindsight is 2020 after all. Basically, this was a toxic and more or less emotional, abusive, long-distance relationship, and I didn't want to see all the red flags because I thought I was in love at the time. But she was only after my money from the start and never me. And this was going on for a few months until it started to fall apart in the end. As said, it's easy to say now nothing was true from the start, but I thought I was in a loving long distance relationship at the time, and that we loved each other deeply then. And around December of 2020, so did my job getting people that was getting positive COVID-19 results, and they decided to close down the workspace and basically checked in daily with us and see if we all were okay. And they basically called us every day from Monday to Friday, and we got our salary as usual, and we just had to figure out how to get the time going while sitting at home. And I remember I bought a model car and realized that there wasn't any glue in the box when I was going to assemble it. So I had to do what I could with the glue I had, and basically I did that for like a week or two, and basically trying to have the time go. Sometimes later, so were we allowed back to work, and I was so relieved to be able to go back to my regular schedule and start working again. And on January 30th of 2021, so did I think I was going to finally meet her. that I would finally be able to hold her in my arms, to finally see my own girlfriend. I had booked a hotel room and planned our date, to have our perfect date. I had even made her a welcome sign and a bag with a plushie and some snacks for her. I was so freaking happy to finally be able to see her at last. At least that was what I thought at the time, and everything felt so perfect and nothing could go wrong. And then the airport lie happened. She said she called her brother to tell him she was on a plane to Sweden to visit her boyfriend, and she said that her brother flipped out and called the airport and said she had falsified her COVID-19 test from positive to negative when it was positive. She said that she was dragged out of the plane by security into a room to wait for her brother. And meanwhile, so did I try and called my dad, not knowing what to do. And she said that her dad almost died because of me, that her dad almost died because of me, that I almost killed her dad because he had a heart attack just because of me, that everything was my fault, that I am the one to blame, that everything was my fault, that she had to sell her Toyota Corolla to afford her half of the plane ticket because of me, that it was my fault that she was put on a no-fly list for 2 years because of me, just because of me feeling she should tell her family that she was going to fly half across the world to Sweden to see her boyfriend, that I'm the one to blame for everything. I felt so freaking horrible at the time, but everything was a lie from the start, and she never had bought the plane ticket. But as said, I didn't know at the time what I knew now. She promised me that we were going to have movie nights, and every time she promised me that, so did I wait for hours and hours and hours for her, and she never showed up. And I cried myself to sleep, feeling useless, and that I deserved to be treated like I was being treated. And towards the end of the relationship, when it was on its last few months, before everything started to fall apart, so did she more or less force me into a open relationship so she could partying, getting drunk and sleep around, because she was so stressed out because of me. And I basically had to agree to this because I thought we were so happy together and in love. On February 2nd of 2021 at 5:36 p.m. so did someone very special to me enter my life, and this special person made me realize how horribly I was being treated by her and how toxic she was towards me, and that I deserved much better. This special person and I started to spend a lot of time with each other, that we had like Discord VCs for hours when I got home from work, and that we watched snake and kick to egg hatching videos and talked about our days, and I started to build up the courage to end that toxic relationship I was in. And this special someone helped me build up the courage to finally be able to break off that toxic relationship I was in, and that I shouldn't be treated like I was being treated. To be able to see everything was a lie from the start, to see what I was in from a different light. Then one day I finally had the courage to end that toxic relationship I was in, because I had enough of her shit and how she treated me. So I ended the relationship, and when she realized that she couldn't control me anymore, so did she more or less lost it and told me that everything was a lie, that she only was after my money, that she never had bought a plane ticket, that she had a boyfriend from the start. But I didn't care anymore. I was tired of her shit and how she treated me, so I ended it. And when it was over, so did I feel like a weight was lifted from me, that I could breathe much easier, that I were more happy. And some time passed, and I started to realize that I was starting to fall for this special someone that had entered my life, that I was looking forward to hang out with her in our Discord VCs for hours when I get home from work, those sleep calls we had, that I started to realize that I had feelings for her. So I told her how I felt and confessed that I had feelings for her and just hoped for the best. And she said that she had feelings for me as well, so we got together. I felt so freaking happy at the time, that we were so happy together, and we were even planning to meet each other, at least what I thought. And then she broke up with me a few days before my birthday, and I was at work. She said that she didn't love me anymore, and that's why she broke up with me. And when my shift ended for the day, so did I basically ran home and just managed to close my apartment door before collapsing against it, starting crying for hours. I felt like my entire world was falling apart. I felt so freaking heartbroken and would continue crying forever. She made me realize that I could be loved for who I am and not what I have. And a few months went by, and I was just trying to heal from the breakup. So does she tell me that she wants us to try again, to give her a second chance, to give us a second chance. So I gave her a second chance, and this held for 1 month, and then on Christmas Day of 2021, so did she break my heart for the second time when I was at my parents' place by breaking up with me by text. And I more or less fell apart and started crying uncontrollably at my parents' place, because I got my heart broken for a second time by the one I loved more than anyone else in the world and cared about deeply. I felt everything was shit and nothing could be right again. Sometime later, so did she called me very drunk and started crying until the call cuts out. And I just sat in front of my computer feeling anxious and not knowing what to do. Fast forward to June 20th of 2022, so did she text me and said she wanted a third chance. And the reason why she broke up with me before was that she was so freaking afraid of me leaving her one day that she couldn't handle the thought of me leaving her. So she broke my heart before I could break her heart. And I was the first one that made her feel different and that she wanted to be with me. She said if I gave her a third chance, so would she be with me no matter what for an entire year and not breaking up. And if I gave her this third and last chance, that she could prove she really meant it. So I gave her one more chance to see if she really meant it. And during November 5th of 2022, it was a Saturday, so did she call me when I was on my way down to the sauna, and I asked if something had happened, and she didn't reply. And 2 hours later, so did she try to call me on Instagram, and I told her to wait because I just had gotten a new phone and I hadn't set permission for Instagram to call or something. And I asked her once again if something had happened and if she wanted me to call her back. And I was starting to get really worried about her when she didn't reply for hours and made me worried out of my mind. And then 6 hours later, when I was about to go to sleep, because I had a hellish headache at like 5 a.m. because I was so freaking worried So does she reply? And I didn't see it until the next day. And then she started ghosting me for days and made me really worried about her. And she left me on red. I was so freaking worried about her that I couldn't function. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I couldn't work, because I was so freaking worried about her. Then on November 12th of 2022, so did she call me on Instagram to just get my attention so she could break up with me for the third and final time. 8 days before our 5-month anniversary, she said she broke up with me because she felt her own boyfriend thought sleep was more important than her, that she could have died and I couldn't care more about it, that she felt her boyfriend wasn't there for her when she needed me the most, that I wasn't there for her, that I didn't care for her, when I actually was worried out of my mind for her well-being and safety. So she broke up with me for the third and final time. And that meant we were truly over with each other, and that we would never be a couple anymore. That I thought she was my forever love, that I thought she was my soulmate. 2 weeks after the breakup, so did she try to call me, and I declined her call because I didn't want to talk to her. And I asked her what she wanted, and she could take it by text. And she wanted to tell me that she was getting married, and that she wanted me to be the first one to know. And I felt like she didn't care about me if she could on from the breakup and get married after 2 weeks. And I felt so freaking awful at the time, and still do. And I hate how I handled it. I felt I couldn't handle how I felt about everything, because I still had feelings for her. So I went cold against her and more or less closed off my feelings towards her. I just replied with, "Okay, I see. Anyway, I wish you a good life. I'm happy for you." And she replied with, "Thanks, I just wanted you to know." And then some time passed and she started to call me non-stop until I answered. And she started to be very mean to me and didn't listen what I had to say until I couldn't take it anymore and started to cry. I felt so freaking awful because she treated me so badly, that she treated me like dirt. And I managed to end the call after almost 2 hours, I think, crying with no stop because of her, and continue crying for hours. On the next day, so did she text me back to apologize how she acted against me. Sorry for what she said because she was super stressed. And I couldn't accept her apology to me. Not after what she said and accused me for. Not after all the false things she said to me or accused me for. So I had to be cold and more or less emotionless to her. To someone I loved more than anyone else in the world. And I replied to her, "Oh, okay, I want to be left alone now. So no calls or texts. I decide if or when I want to talk to you again. I want to be the happy person you knew when we first met. But this means goodbye for now." I felt so freaking awful for being like that, but my heart couldn't take it anymore. I just wanted to heal from the breakup and get better again. To be able to find the strength inside of me to move on from the one I loved more than anyone else in the world. To be able to heal and get well and feel happy again. And then sometime near Christmas of 2022, so did she try to call me multiple times, and I replied by text and asking her what she wanted and that she could take it by text. And she told me that her heater had exploded and burned down her apartment and she lost everything in the fire. And I asked her if she was okay, and she said the headphones I bought for her and made half across Europe for her birthday got destroyed in the fire, and she felt really bad about it. And I asked her once again if she and her husband were okay and wasn't hurt. And I said to her, as long as you and your husband are in one piece and aren't hurt, so are that what's important. I said to her that material things can be replaced after a fire, but not your life. She said it was sentimental things, and everything I'd ever gotten her got destroyed in the fire. Things she held dear and treasured because it was from me, and that she felt like the connection we had burnt away in the fire. And I once again said her and her husband's life is more important. Her and her husband's life can't be replaced after fire. And sure, it sucks to lose material and sentimental things you held dear and near to your heart, treasured. But your and your husband's life can't be replaced. She said she felt like I didn't care about her anymore, that I was trying to forget what we had, that I wanted to erase the memories we had together. Then I had to say one of the hardest things to her that took all my strength to say. I said to her that I will always treasure the memories we had together, and she will always have a very special place in my heart. But we aren't a couple anymore. You don't need me anymore. I did love you more than anyone else in the world once. But you belong to someone else now. You are married now. You have your husband to be there for you. And I typed that out to her as I was crying, because I still care about her deeply in a way. But the show must go on after all, even if it's so freaking hard to do that. At the moment do I try to heal from everything, to get well again, to feel happy again. So yeah, a lot has happened since the last time I uploaded. Like, I have been thinking about her a lot lately because of this video, and me realizing that we will never be a couple anymore, that she belongs to someone else, that she is married, that we are truly over, that I have to move on from her, even if it's hard. So yeah. And to be honest, I don't really know how I will end this video well, but so anyway, I hope you all enjoyed listening to this mess somehow, and this took me a lot to write and record, and a lot of my willpower to keep myself together so I don't break down and start crying. And I apologize if I jumped around between things in this video, but I tried to organize this as well as I could in a chronological order to be able to create a timeline on what had happened. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video somehow, even with the doom and gloom. I guess if you all somehow liked this, so please leave a like and subscribe, I guess, and please leave a comment about what you thought about this. And as always, this has been EH-Sora, and I will see you all next time.